Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review the original Gold Bar and then the Gold Bar Reserve Collection Double Cask. You know the drill, run the video. Alright then folks, before we get into today's video, thank you to all the subscribers out there. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy today's video, hit that like button too. And also comment down below. I love interacting with you folks out there. You guys and girls are leaving some really great comments and thought-provoking comments, so please keep up that work too. If you haven't already, go and check out the website where you can get some awesome swag, some premium whiskey glasses. You can get like the Glencairn and some Rocks glasses as well. And they're fairly reasonably priced, as close to cost as I can get them with shipping. With that being said, we have a review today, and maybe some whiskeys that maybe folks at home haven't heard of so much. If you were to watch a store haul video we did recently, you would have noticed that we picked up the original Gold Bar here. We bought it from Costco. One of my brother-in-law sent it down from Costco, and we wanted to review this. And then also, whilst I was out in California recently, I picked up this guy as well, so we're going to review that together. So I wanted to do this review maybe in like a couple of weeks time, but as I was bringing some of my whiskey glasses in, I actually dropped this guy. And as you can see, there's a pretty big crack in there. So what I'm gonna do, so I've already filtered the whiskey in here through a coffee strainer. I've washed this bottle out and then put the whiskey back in. And as soon as we'll do the review today, I'll just decant it in this whiskey decanter that Shane, who's sometimes on this channel, got for me as a gift. Thank you, Shane, I appreciate that. So let's get on with things. So first off, we're gonna try the original Gold Bar here. Like I said, I got it sent down to me. The MSRP on this guy, I think, is around about $40. So, you know, not terrible in price. So as you can see there, when I pulled the lid off, the whole thing came off. And I don't believe that's what's supposed to happen. So there has this kind of screw cap on top. It's quite a cheap screw cap. What would have been nice if this would have been a real cork built in there so you can kind of pull it off. But I guess if that keeps happening, then that's kind of the same, but I'm not quite sure how that will seal there. So this is coming in at 40% ABV or 80 proof. So this is blended whiskey finished in California wine casks from the Napa Valley. So I did a lot of research about this bottle of whiskey, and for the life of me, I was not able to find out the source of it. It stated on the website that they searched throughout the United States and they found the most premium whiskey for this edition here. However, I have an inclination of where the whiskey comes from in this one, and we'll go into that when we hit up the premium one, because there's a lot more clues on that bottle than there is on this one. So like I said, the whiskey is then sourced and then finished in wine casks, coming in at 40% ABV. It just cuts in to being able to be called whiskey there. It does potentially look a little bit gimmicky, but ultimately we will grade it on the flavor that is inside. This one is the catch edition, which is, I believe, Jerry Rice's famous catch for the San Francisco 49ers. If I'm wrong about that, please someone out there correct me, but that was my understanding of what that represented. This has won a couple of awards at the San Francisco Spirit Awards, so potentially some good things ready coming for this. So let's pour this and put it into the glass here. Again, like its namesake, it is a Gold Bar, so it looks like a Gold Bar, but like I said, potentially gimmicky. You have a little bit of glass in the bottle, not too pleased with the lid. And you also kind of have this like gold coin on there, which is pretty cool. And $40, you kind of get a lot of bottle for $40. I'm not saying that it justifies that even if the whiskey's bad, but you know, you do get a lot of bottle for that there. So then just looking at the whiskey in the glass, it's quite light. We're looking kind of like a light corny or a hay color there, so quite yellow, nowhere near amber. How it looks in the glass, quite thin as you would expect from a 40% ABV whiskey. Let's go in for a nose here. This is the original Gold Bar. So it definitely has some interesting notes that you wouldn't associate with maybe something like a traditional bourbon, that's for sure. And of course, this isn't calling itself a bourbon, it's calling itself an American whiskey. So It kind of has a bit of a Play-Doh note when you open up a fresh Play-Doh. It kind of has that like salty note to it. And that's definitely represented in this glass here. It's not off-putting or anything, but it's something I'm picking up on. And it definitely has a really nice fruity note there as well. I'm getting like a grape, like a nice sweet red grape note from there. Maybe potentially some sharper notes there. Not ethanol notes, that's not for sure. Potentially some youthful notes, but I'm not really getting any corn or cereal grain from there. Or maybe some vanilla there as well, like a very soft, pillowy vanilla. But yeah, mostly those notes, you are getting some of that wine cask fruit, like maybe the grape, or like a red wine grape there. The type of wine they use for this, it doesn't say. French oak wine casks. So French oak wine casks. So I guess that could be champagne or something like that. So it doesn't say if it's white or red. It does say that the mash bill is a mash bill of corn, rye, and barley, and then barrel finished in French oak wine cask from the Napa Valley, crafted in the heart of the San Francisco Bay. So a really interesting nose. I'm getting a little bit of ginger and nutmeg there as well. It's very complex, I will give it that much. Yes, it has that Play-Doh note that might subtract a little bit from there, but it definitely has a lot going on. So let's get into it. Let's taste it here. First impressions, mouthfeel. It is quite thin. It doesn't quite coat the mouth as much as maybe a higher ABV whiskey. It drinks hotter than 40%, and I believe that I would attribute that to maybe the mash bill or some of the spiciness that comes from this whiskey. It definitely has some spicier notes there as well. I'm definitely getting some rye spice, and that kind of ginger allspice note comes through there as well. You're definitely getting some of that wine presence there, but it's kind of transitioned less of more of a grape note, and definitely more of like a sweeter note. Yes, I said a sweet grape, so I guess you could pull parallels from that. But it definitely is more sweet on the mouthfeel, not too dry at all, not grainy, not ethanol-y at all. Fairly easy drinker as long as you're okay with that initial spice bite. Let's taste it again and see if we can pick apart the finish on this one. I'm definitely getting a touch of peanut on this as well. And I only almost ever get peanut on Heaven Hill products. Sometimes Jim Beam. So I wonder if there's any Heaven Hill in this. And if some of you folks at home are watching and you know where they source some of the whiskeys that make up this, please let me know, because I'm definitely getting almost like a peanut Heaven Hill funk there, like a peanut shell note. Finish wise, there's a little touch of spice there. You're getting some of that oak tannin note from the wine that kind of rounds it out, but there's overall not too much going on in the finish there. So before we move on to the second review of the original Gold Bar, the Reserve Collection, double barreled, we need to give this value for money and a grade out of 100. So value for money, I paid $40 for this. Like I said, you're getting a lot of bottle. You actually get a really complex whiskey. I wouldn't say it's completely balanced. There's a lot going on. So if you're someone who likes to sip whiskey and really pick it apart, a complex whiskey, then I think this might be for you. I'm going to give this a 62. I think that's a really fair score for this. And I think this would be a really great whiskey to sit outside on like a spring day, because it's an easy drinker, but it has enough spice, enough bite there, and enough complexity that you can pick apart as you're just chilling out there in the spring. So that was the original Gold Bar. So next we are going to move on. And this is going to be the Gold Bar, the Reserve Collection, sorry, and this is going to be the double casked one. So much like the original Gold Bar, this is basically the exact same bottle, but this is all black and has this really nice, beautiful gold right in. I'll give it that much. I'm not a big fan of gimmicky bottles, And I think this does look quite gimmicky, but what I'll say, the font and the color just knocks it out of the park. Again, it has kind of like that gold coin emblem here, which is quite cool. Looks quite thick there as well. This is coming in a little bit of a higher proof. That was 80 proof. This is going to be 92 proof, or 46% ABV. Blend number 820. So when I was saying where they think they sourced that from, and I had a few clues going off of this one. So this states, so this is distilled in Texas and then double cast in California. So basically this company sources their whiskey and then they source the wine casks and then they just sit the whiskey in the wine casks at their location. So it says that they source their whiskey from Texas. So the first cask is from New American oak barrels and then the second cask is the French oak wine barrels again. This is made from a unique mash bill of Texas corn 80% and Oklahoma rye 20% that are triple copper pot distilled using only the rich hard cut for final barreling. So it's a Texas pot distilled whiskey. What other Texas whiskeys use pot distilled that is quite popular? The only one that I can think of right now, potentially Garrison Brothers might do it, I'm not sure about them, but Balcones are very well known for pot distilled in Texas whiskey. So I think that this is probably sourced from Balcones and then finished up in San Francisco with those sourced Napa wine barrels there. French oak wine barrels. So let's get into this guy, let's pour this in the glass and let's see if the cap comes off. No, it doesn't. Let's try that again. I'm going to try and twist it. Okay, so this is a lot more solid in terms of sitting on the bottle there. Again, screw cap. It would be so nice if you were able just to put a regular cork in there and you could pop it off. But again, you know, you're paying $40 for this. I paid about $60 for this, so you kind of have to, you know, live within the means, I guess, there. And on the cap here, it says, "May her light reveal true fortune's path." So there we go. I guess that has something to do with maybe Lady Liberty or whoever that is on the front here. Let's pour this in the glass here. So you can almost immediately see with that compared to the last one, this is a lot darker. Which kind of, I'm not saying that this one, the first one was sourced from Balcones. I guess it could be sourced from multiple different people. But if we're going to go off of if they were using the same juice for this one, then potentially they could have sourced from Balcones as well. But that was undisclosed, which means maybe they sourced from a bigger distillery who didn't want them to disclose it because they were selling that for like $40. However, with this one, it is a little bit darker. And we are sitting in the realms of kind of like the honey realm here. It is a little bit more viscous, as you would expect, with the higher proof there as well. It does lace the glass, stick to the glass very well. Let's go in for a nose here. This is the Gold Bar Reserve Collection Double Cast. So, even though this is a higher proof, again, none of that alcohol or ethanol notes on the nose. Definitely some leather there as well, like new shoe leather. And you're definitely getting some spice there as well. Some of those traditional pot still spices that you get from like Texas whiskey or even Irish whiskey or any other whiskey that's pot still generally. There's maybe like a caramel, like a deeper, cornier caramel note there as well. Let's go in for a taste here. So on the palate, mouthfeel, it's a lot more rich, definitely a richer whiskey than the first one. And it definitely, as you keep kind of tasting, your taste buds keep tasting it, you're definitely getting a lot more of that. And it's staying around a lot longer there. Notes I get straight away, I get like a lot of toffee, like a toffee vanilla note, kind of like a Werther's Original kind of note there as well. Maybe a touch of like a powdered chocolate note there. And you definitely get a lot of those pot still spices that continue through here as well. And I kind of, if you've ever had a blue corn tortilla chip, I kind of get some of that salty tortilla chip flavor in this, which is probably a pretty unique flavor profile or tasting note from whiskey, but I'm definitely getting that from this here. And in terms of those wine notes, there's not as much wine notes coming through from this as opposed to the first one. It's more about, you definitely know this is a Texas pot still whiskey because it definitely tastes like that. I thought there would be more wine notes coming through, and there's just no. Let's go in for another taste to see if we can pull some of those guys out, or some of those flavors out. This is very drinkable, very rich, very sweet. Again, not really picking up any of those wine notes. Maybe a touch of wine tannins on the finish with like some rich burnt caramel, but that's about it. You're not really getting too much on the wine, but you are getting a really fantastic taste in whiskey. This is really good, and it is really well balanced as well. So let's talk about value for money, and let's talk about the score of 100. So value for money, like I said, I paid $60 for this. I think it's probably a B. Yeah, I would like to give it a B for this because it is probably sourced from Balcones. I might be wrong on that, but I'm quite sure. And I think the Balcones generally run about that price anyway. And you're getting it finished in a secondary barrel, a secondary barrel, a French oak wine barrel, so it adds another layer of complexity. Yes, that didn't quite stand out in this one, but maybe there's some stuff going on in the background that I'm just not picking up on when it comes to that. It's very drinkable. It's a better proof as well, so that's why I'm giving it the B value for money. And again, you're getting a hell of a lot of bottle there as well. So score of 100, 82 is what I'm going to give this, and I think that's a really fair score, and it's actually quite a high score, and I think this whiskey is definitely deserving of that as well. It's complex enough, but balanced enough and rich and sweet enough that it leaves you wanting more. Really great mouthfeel, interesting nose. The palate is fantastic as well. Where could it have done a little bit better? Maybe some more of those wine notes coming through there. So with that being said, we were able to review both the Gold Bar selections there. I'm not sure if they've released any more of these Gold Bars yet. I guess we will find out. Or again, if you folks at home know, please let me know. Would I recommend them? Definitely. I'd recommend both of them because this is only going to set you back $35, $40, and then there's $60. And what a story, right? You know, you have these two guys. Yes, potentially people might think they're gimmicky, but when you try them, they're actually really good, in my opinion. So as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time, cheers.